my favorite quotes that I absolutely live by is by Dr. Maya Angelou, and it is, if you're new here, I'm Laura, and this is Executive Her. On this channel, I help women navigate their professional paths through modern elegance, grace, and sophisticated style. So ladies, today we are talking about that negative work environment. It is so toxic. Every time you think about it, you cringe because it is an environment where people are backbiting each other, they're talking about each other, they're talking about the organization, and nothing pleases them more than to have all of this toxicity. So let's talk about how you can rise above it. The first strategy you want to use is you want to make sure that you always remain professional. It is so easy to get caught up in this negativity, especially if everything around you is negative. It is easy to become a part of that chit chatter, become a part of that negativity where the organization is horrible, the people are horrible, everything is just bad. So you want to remain professional at all times, because what you're trying to do is to move on, to get promoted, to elevate yourself. And if you become a part of this negativity by being unprofessional, that will follow you. You want to remain professional because the end goal is to move up and on. And when you do that and you're professional, that is what is going to precede you. People are going to realize how professional you are in the organization. They will realize how professional you are outside of the organization. So you want to always remain professional, even though some of these things that are going on are really unprofessional, very negative. Focus on where you're going, not necessarily where you are in the moment. That is going to help you propel yourself to the next level. Next is you want to set boundaries. Boundaries are so important, not only professionally but personally. But on a professional note, when it comes to boundaries, it is easier to say what you won't tolerate or how you feel about certain subjects. For example, if someone is talking negatively, of course you could say, well, I'm really not interested in that. I'm more interested in the work. However, sometimes when you tell people, you become the target. You become that person that they're chit-chatting about and that they're saying all these negative things about, because they get offended. They think somehow you may believe that you're better than them, or that you don't have to be a part of their group. So a way to do this is, instead of participating in that conversation, change the subject. People love to talk about themselves. So when you change the subject, if someone's talking to you about what's going on that's horrible in the organization or about their coworker, change the subject and start talking about them. Compliment them on some work that they've done, or ask them what kind of strategies they're using for something that they're doing. When they start to talk about themselves, they're no longer talking about everyone else. They love to talk about themselves. Another strategy you can use is when people come to you with the negativity, walk away. All of a sudden you have an email that you need to send, or you have a meeting that you forgot about, or a phone call you need to make. You just remove yourself from that environment, and eventually they will start to notice that, well, when they come to you to talk about these negative things, you're not available. Or they'll start to realize when they're talking to you, you really don't say anything. Once they do that, they will start to know that you have these boundaries. You have set the boundary without saying it. And they will start to realize it and also to respect it. Okay, ladies, so the next strategy that you can do or use when you're trying to navigate this negativity, this toxic work environment, is evaluate whether or not this is the place that you should be. Now, that is truly easier sometimes to say than to do, because let's face it, a lot of us work because we have to, and sometimes it is just not that easy to change professions, careers, and or even locations. So you have to really give this some thought. And just because you can't do it now, if you can't, that doesn't mean you can't do it later. So while you're evaluating, you can come up with a plan that's going to help you exit the situation or to move on. So make sure that even though you may not be able to do it now, to come up with a plan on how you can do it. And if you have decided that you can, if you evaluate it and you realize that you don't really have to stay in this environment, now it's time for action. It is time to execute your exit plan. So evaluate the situation, determine if you can stay in the situation or if you cannot stay in the situation, and then put all of that into action. Come up with your exit strategy and start to put that into action. That is going to help you get out of this toxicity. Okay, ladies, so next on our list is you want to develop a self-care routine. Self-care is so important. Body, mind, spirit. So you want to make sure that you have developed this self-care routine, because sometimes when you're in this toxic environment, and because we spend so many hours at work, you truly don't realize the toll that it is taking on you. You can think that everything's okay, you're not really focused on it, but it's so negative, and that really does get into your spirit sometimes. And not only does it get into your spirit unconsciously, it can start to have some negative impacts on your overall physical and mental health. So focus on things that is really going to take care of you mentally, physically, and spiritually. Focus on those hobbies that you have, relationships that you have with family and friends, and focus on just activities outside of work. So when you are away from work, you're not really thinking about it. You're more in the moment. You're living in the moment and you're enjoying yourself. Also, when it comes to self-care, if you have some leave, make sure that you take a day or two, use those personal days to truly take care of your health. And again, mental, physical health, and spiritual health. That doesn't mean that you're taking a lot of leave, but what it does mean is you're using the leave that you have to take care of your overall body, mind, spirit. Okay, ladies, so next on our list is you want to network strategically. So when you're in an environment where everything is so toxic, sometimes it's hard to think in terms of what is going on in your profession or your industry. It's hard to make connections with people outside the organization because this is where you are every single day. You're inside, you're in this group of negativity. And because you are, it's sometimes hard to focus outward. But you want to make sure that you start to network strategically. Build relationships with people outside of the organization, because these relationships are going to help you. They're going to help you when things are happening in your industry, organization, and or outside that organization, and or career. When you are doing this, networking strategically, you know what's going on. Not only do you know what's going on, you can continue to educate yourself and learn more so that you are ready to move up and outward. And when opportunities present themselves, if you have strategically networked, then you will be considered for some of these opportunities and you will know about these opportunities. So make sure that you are networking strategically outside the organization, even though again, sometimes it's hard when you're focused so much on what's going on internally. You want to put your focus outside and start to build these relationships with people that are external to the organization. Next is, you do not want to compromise your integrity. Your integrity is who you are as a person. Now, if you can live with yourself, if you compromise your integrity and you're no longer being yourself, that is fine, that is wonderful. But for those of you who do not want to compromise your integrity, don't. Because your integrity is who you are, it is your values, it's what you stand for, and you have to look at yourself in the mirror. So whatever decision you are making, you want to make that decision that you're going to feel okay with. So make sure that you do not compromise your integrity, even though, again, it can be extremely hard to do when you are the outsider, so to speak. You're the outsider even though you're in the organization, and you're the outsider because you're behaving differently. So you want to ensure that all of this negativity and this toxic relationships and toxic environment, it doesn't impact who you are. One of my favorite quotes that I absolutely live by is by Dr. Maya Angelou, and it is, "I can be changed by what happened to me, but I refuse to be reduced by it." Change can be a great thing because when you're changing, you are growing, and growth is wonderful. When you're changing, you're evolving. But just because you're changing, it doesn't mean that you have to be reduced. Don't reduce yourself to make other people feel better about themselves, better about where they are. That leads to the next point. Most of the time, all of this toxicity, the toxic workplace, all of this negativity isn't about you. It is about people people who are negative themselves, or who may feel inadequate for some reason, or who just like the drama of it all. And that has nothing to truly do with you. Although in the moment you really do feel like it does. It does not. It is just what is happening in that organization at that time with those people. So you have to remember that it's not about you. You are more than just what is going on. And when you realize it's no longer about you, you come up with a strategy to help you navigate this and to help you get out of it. Another favorite book of mine that I will link down below is The 4 Agreements, and it talks about it's not about you. That is one of the agreements. Don't take it personally. So that leads us to the next point, and that is continue to educate yourself, continue to gain knowledge. And one of the things about this is when you are educating yourself and you're gaining more knowledge, one, that gives you an opportunity to kind of be out of this environment for a while, especially if you're taking training or you're going to some of the conferences, or you're listening to a podcast, and or these different things that you can participate in that gets you out of the organization for a moment. So make sure that you continue to learn, because it gets you out of the toxic work environment, but it also helps you in the long run. Because remember, you really want to be successful, even though this environment, this organization may not be the environment or organization for you. Your ultimate goal is to move onward and to move out of this situation. So when you continue to focus on the work, focus on what is important, then that is going to put you in a different place. Next on the list, ladies, is always remain positive. We can always find the negativity in all things. But when you remain positive, when you continue to think in a positive manner, positive things really will happen for you. And you will start to see movement. And then that is when you can make changes, if changes really is what you're trying to do. In terms of the workplace, the work environment, if it's the environment for you, can you make changes in that environment and still be successful? Or is it time for you to exit that environment? Whatever the case may be, you want to remain positive. It's easy to become negative. When you are positive, positive things happen to you. And when you are positive, you attract different people to you. More positive people are coming your way, positive opportunities. So those are a few strategies in terms of how to successfully navigate this toxic work environment, this toxic workplace. After all, we spend a lot of time at work, and so we want to make sure that when we're at work, we are being our best selves. And the way to do that, of course, is to focus on what is important and not so much on all the negativity. I hope you've enjoyed the video. If so, ladies, please like the video. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and leave a comment down below. I would love to hear some of the strategies that you employ yourself. Thank you so much for watching. As always, I'll see you next time.